Someone's got to put a stop to it. This whole thing's just gotten out of hand. The lies that we're told about women and the mythology surrounding them and their characteristics is just a pure fiction. And we as a society have been sold this idea for about the last 50 or 60 years that women, for some reason, have these characteristics that are so amazing and beyond reproach that they are to be believed and to be favored under almost all circumstances. Now, I, as a man who was married to one for 20 years, I have fathered two, I have cousins, people that I've worked with for years, friends, lovers. In the last 60 years, I've probably known 1,000 women, and I have yet to meet one that lives up to the billing that we've been sold as a society. So today, I'm going to give you my rant on why and what we've gotten wrong about women. So if I were an alien from another planet and I were coming to Earth and trying to understand our civilization, I would be very, very confused. Because if I were to observe our modern media, our TV, our social media, our movies, our children's television programs, I would think that women are very clearly the superior gender, that they are a special class of people, and they just basically don't do any harm or have any problems. They don't create any discord in their lives. Yet, for some reason, in practice, it's quite the opposite. One of the characteristics that is assigned to women that seems to be universally accepted is empathy. And I cannot think of a bigger lie than this one. And I think this one is so critical, that's why I put it first, is it's so misleading. It leads you to believe that women have some special innate ability to pick up on the emotions and the situation, the experiences of another person, internalize that in some way, and turn that into some kind of positive action that might help this other person. That is complete bullshit. I have not seen anything like that. Women are the most selfish, self-serving things I have ever met. You compare that to the sacrifices that a man makes in a relationship. A man will sacrifice everything for a woman he loves. He will sacrifice his life. He will even sit through episodes of The Bachelorette just to make you happy. What have you done for your man lately? When was the last time any woman put a man's needs ahead of her own as a self-sacrificing action? I cannot even think of one. Now, there may be some, and I'm generalizing here, and I realize that, and there are some human beings who just happen to be female who have really good characteristics. However, for the most part, most women are not very empathetic, and I would go so far as to say they even lack basic human compassion in most cases, especially if it requires them to do something to help another person. Okay, let's move on to competence. Anytime you watch a sitcom these days, you're going to see the man in the show represented by some buffoon, someone who doesn't know what he's doing, makes a mess out of everything. The women in his show just have to put up with him. You know, the character is this guy with 2 left feet and half the intelligence of the average orangutan, and God bless those poor women in his life. They just have to come in and clean up after him and make everything right again. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, all of my experience has been exactly the opposite of that. Women screw up their lives like no one else could, and they're neurotic to an extreme. As a man, I cannot tell you how many messes I have cleaned up by a woman or women who have completely emoted themselves into a psychological shutdown, where they just can't do anything. They just paralyze themselves with fear and anxiety and incompetence. And sometimes even completing the most simple task ends up turning into a crisis of national level. It's just ridiculous how incompetent they can be. Now, there are things they can be good at. If you need your sock drawer organized, you need a woman. There's no question about it. But if you need to get a mortgage financed, you don't want to talk to a woman. 9 times out of 10, she does not know what to do. If you've got a financial crisis on your hands, chances are a woman is not going to know what to do. If you've got a medical crisis on your hands, chances are you're going to have to take control of that situation. If you've got a physical threat, yeah, women aren't going to be able to help you with that either. Your car breaks down. Women, no idea, completely clueless, don't even know how to ask the right questions. Let's see. Even making travel arrangements, my God, yeah. One time we showed up at the airport at 8 a.m. to take our flight down to Orlando or whatever to go on a Disney cruise. Yeah, we got there 12 hours early. Really? Yeah. Yeah, our flight was booked for 8 p.m. Guess who did that? Yep. Thankfully, the lady at the ticket counter was kind enough because she could see my wife was crying because we were all standing there with our suitcases 12 hours early, and she put us on another flight. But yeah, incompetence. Okay, responsible. Women are oftentimes identified as the more responsible sex because they are more level-headed. Oh my God. If there was a more irresponsible species on the planet, I don't know what it is. I think children probably are more irresponsible than women most of the time. But women, when it comes to money or even just their behaviors in general, completely irresponsible. And what I mean by responsible is having an ability to respond to a situation in a rational way or in a way that helps resolve the problem or make it better in some way, shape, or form. For the most part, women do not have this talent, this skill, whatever it is. More often than not, you get the neurotic meltdown. More often than not, you get a lot of irrational bullshit that doesn't make any sense. More often than not, they're going to tell you how they feel about it, not about what's actually happening. Yeah, so why do people think women are more responsible? Yes, men do like to have fun. Yes, we do like to do some crazy stuff sometimes. But you know something? When it matters, you want a man there to help you out. You don't want some woman there fixing things because she's going to make a mess of it, and you know it and I know it. And even you feminist women out there who are going to give me a lot of shit about this, you know it too. 9 times out of 10, when the world's coming to a crashing halt, you want some man to come in there and fix it because 90% of the women out there are going to melt down under the pressure. Guaranteed. This kind of falls in the same line as responsible, but women are more level-headed than men. Men get angry. Men have 3 emotions. We're either happy, we're horny, or we're angry. That's it. That's pretty much it. Now, anger can cover up a lot of other stuff, and I get that. And horniness, you might be able to account for some other things in there too. And happiness, that's sort of our default setting for the most part. The only time that men find themselves unhappy, for the most part, is when they have put faith and trust in a woman to live up to her word or her agreement to that man, and she inevitably lets him down, crushes his spirit, and leaves him for dead. That's what makes men unhappy, and it kind of gets manifested as anger, which probably rightly so. But women, oh my God, there have been tests that have compared the level of neuroses, which is basically just the inability to accept what is without some level of emoting about it. Women lose that one every single time. Women are the most neurotic as a species, just as a general statement, beings on the planet. I think even most children have a better head on their shoulders than most women when it comes to being level-headed. Now, this was a lie that actually affects women, but it's about women. And so I'm just going to throw it in there. It's the whole idea that women can do and have it all. That's right. You can be the attorney, you can be the mom, you can be the wife, you can be the person who does everything. Guess what? You can't. You suck at it. You just flat out suck at it. You can do one thing well, maybe, with a lot of patience from a very understanding man. But for the most part, if you guys try doing two things at once, you're going to get two poorly done jobs. End of statement. I have not yet seen a woman multitask with any level of efficiency that would make me suggest or even believe for a second that they're doing a good job or that they're even capable of doing a good job. We men know what our limitations are. We do one thing, and we do it well. And we're very consistent at it, and we're very good at it. Women think they can do 20 things at once, and they all suck. They all turn into a disaster. And then they get all upset, like, oh my God, he's had too much to do. No, you idiot. You took on too much. You had too much going on in your head. You couldn't focus for 5 seconds to get one thing done. Yeah, it's not about multitasking. It's about getting things done right. You guys just can't do that. You can't do all these things, and especially when it comes to having multiple career paths where you're a mom, a wife, and a breadwinner. No, maybe you can get one of those things done right if you're really focused on it. But multitasking in that kind of way, that is way beyond your control. That's way beyond your ability. That's way beyond anything you can even dream of accomplishing successfully. I have yet to see one single woman really do it well and get a fair review from people in her life that said, yeah, she really did a great job. No. The only people who are going to say that are people who either want to fuck her or the people who are expecting her to deliver something to them. That's it. You know, the people who work for her, people who want to have sex with her, or maybe her children. But yeah, for the most part, any objective measurement of women multitasking on that giant macro level has been a failure. And you guys just need to stop. It's just out of control. All right, let's get into sex. Sex is a great topic. The modern woman likes to believe that it is only fair and equal that she can be as promiscuous as a man. And this is such a brilliant one, okay? You guys, it's like you don't even understand the way the world works. It's so funny. So a man has to work for sex. Women do not give sex freely to men all the time. Now, maybe some men get it freely. You know, I'm sure there are some guys out there who are getting it freely, but for the vast majority of us, yeah, we've got to have some game. You know, we're going to have to actually put together a plan to seduce a woman, and it's going to take some time and energy. It's going to be hard. You know, it takes some effort. A woman just needs to say yes to any man. If you're even vaguely good looking, most men will have sex with you most of the time. So you guys can probably have sex, I'm guessing 80 to 90% of the time with 80 to 90% of the men that you come across. While men might be able to have sex with like 2% or 3% of the women that he comes across, if that. That may be even a high number. That may be even a really high number. So you being promiscuous all the time versus us being promiscuous all the time gets completely different results. And I'll be honest with you, men generally don't like it. If they're looking at a girl to get married, if that girl's got a high body count, like if she's been sleeping around, guys don't like that, you know? And it kind of goes back to that whole exchange thing where, you know, when we get into a relationship, there's a certain transactional nature to it. And a man who is going to spend money and seduce you and take you out and really, really, really give you the princess treatment that you like so much so that he can win your approval, and in that approval also have the opportunity to have sex with you, well, why should he go through all of that if you're just giving it away down on the street corner sometimes? Like because you're out with the girls, you make a big night of it and you come home with some stranger. Yeah, guys don't want to be with you if that's your way of living. If you're having sex with guys that you don't have relationships with, yeah, you're a one-night stand kind of girl, you're a hookup girl. Yeah, guys don't want to be with you. We just don't. We don't want to marry you. We don't want you in our lives. We don't even want to be around you. And in fact, we basically think you're disgusting, except that, like most men, we will have sex with you. We'll add to your body count, but we will not take you home to mom. Just FYI. Caregiving. Now, it has been declared that women are really good at giving care. And in my experience, I have seen some really good nurses out there, but I've also seen really good men nurses. But then you're getting paid for that. So let's take the payment out of it. And let's say you've got a sick loved one. So here's what I've noticed, is women will initially take the lead on providing care. But it doesn't take too long before a woman starts to feel like she's being put upon. Like, why am I the one to have to do this? Why aren't you doing this? Why isn't somebody else helping? Someone else should be helping with this. I shouldn't be the one being forced to do this. So the whole myth around caregiving is strong enough that a woman will initially take on that role, but it's not so strong that she will stick with it, for the most part. Now, I know there are certainly some exceptions out there, but I see lots and lots of women will take on that role initially and then immediately start complaining that someone else isn't pulling their weight. I recently had a case where a woman that I work with, her mom became very sick, and she has a very large family with 7 or 8 siblings. And 1 or 2 of the women were kind of in the primary caregiver role, and none of the other women were a part of that, or none of the other kids were a part of that. Now, these are all adults. Yeah, they were complaining like shit. Like, why isn't Joe doing this? Why isn't Sally doing this? Why are we the ones that have to do it? Why are we the ones that take care of mom? Rather than thinking, what a blessing it is that you get this time to spend with your mother, they're concerned that they are having to do too much and someone else isn't having to do enough. That's my experience with women in caregiving. Yes, they're good in the short run, but if you put them on a marathon and this whole caregiving thing, they oftentimes will fall short and immediately start pointing their fingers at someone else who should be doing this job instead of them. All right, women are honest, and because of that, they should be believed. See the Me Too movement here. Okay, so women, as we've already discussed, tend to be irrational, they tend to be neurotic, and they tend to be very fearful, and they tend to be very reactive. Why would you want to believe this person? You basically are talking about an insane person here who has every reason in the world to make up shit to justify and rationalize her position, even though she may be completely wrong. They're very aware of what other people think, so they know how to manipulate situations to make it look like they're the innocent victim in this situation, when in reality, they're the one who caused the whole problem to begin with. You know, they have done a great job of pulling the wool over judges and police and society as a whole, but for the most part, any man who has spent any time alone with a woman knows they're full of shit. They know that they are going to manipulate situations around, and they're going to try to appear as the weak, dumb, sad little victim who had nothing to do with whatever it was that just happened. And then they're going to want you, after they've screwed everything up, to fix it for them. Yeah, it's just a game. They've been playing this game since the beginning of time. I don't know why we men are so suckered into it all the time. You know, and what it is, and we men, there's a faction of men who buy into this crap, and they put on this whole white knight thing. Really, it's all about getting laid. Let's not fool ourselves at all. But when a woman is put herself out there as the injured gazelle, we'll call it. The injured gazelle is an easy pickings for a weak lion. And so these weak lions come along and they pretend to be white knights, and they're going to swoop up the injured gazelle, fix all of her problems, and think that he's a hero. Well, you dumb white knight, you're going to get raked over the coals. You're going to find that sword firmly implanted someplace where you'll never see it again, because she's going to take you for everything you've got. You're going to go in there thinking you're saving her, and she's going to completely use and abuse you, manipulate you, and by the time she's done with you, you're going to be glad she's gone. Trust me on that one. So as long as we're talking about honesty, we should also be talking about infidelity or cheating. If a man cheats, that man is a dirty, low-down, no good, you know what. He's an asshole, you know? He's just flat out an ass. If a woman cheats, oh my gosh, wow, you must have been under so much pressure in that relationship. He just wasn't treating you right. You had every right to go out and find someone else. Oh, you poor thing. Yeah, women cheat for the same reasons men cheat, because they get horny and they want someone fresh, someone different. It's not that, oh, he's treating you wrong or anything like that. They just get bored. you know? And they're just as, I don't know, they're just as much of assholes as men are when it comes to those things. It's just a complete act of disloyalty. That's all it is. But they can't accept the fact that they've been disloyal, so they create a narrative around this disloyalty to make it seem like it's somebody else's fault. Again, they do not take responsibility for their actions. This is just Woman 101. They will not ever take responsibility for their actions. Women cannot take responsibility for their own happiness. They're always looking outside of themselves for happiness. So if she's not going to take responsibility for her own state of mind and her own happiness, she certainly is not going to take responsibility for her actions. This is just typical. It's not 100%, but it's very, very typical, where women will very oftentimes point to things outside of themselves or situations that are unrelated and try to drag them into whatever drama she's having and make it all about that instead of what's actually happening. They try to kind of distract you from the actual events on the ground and make you think that there's some other event or some other set of circumstances that actually caused her to behave in this undesirable way. You know, I could go on and on and on, but I gotta get back. Anyway, you guys get the idea. We have been misled since the beginning of time, or at least for the last 50 or 60 years, the beginning of my time, that women are to be held in such high regard, that they are beyond reproach, that they are these, you know, sugar and spice and everything nice, you know, all that Disney crap about how sweet and wonderful and loving and kind and how desirable they are for all of their personal characteristics. The truth of the matter is, they're not like that at all. They are just as bad or worse than men at just about everything. And we need to just sort of blow up this myth and get down to what's really happening here. Men are physically attracted to women, and because of that, we will fall in love with you. And once we fall in love with you, we will be loyal to you to the end, regardless of how shitty of a person you are. We will put up with you. We will watch all those terrible television shows with you. We will deal with your family, with your in-laws, with your mother, with your toiletries in the bathroom. We'll deal with the hair in the sink and in the shower. We'll deal with your clogged up toilets. You know, we'll deal with the bloody tampons. We'll deal with all of it. Your whining, your complaining, your inability, your lack of desire to get an answer to a problem, your ability to take the smallest little thing and blow it up into the biggest possible thing. We will deal with it because we love you. Who's really the hero here? All right, let's get right down to it. Men have been protecting and dealing with and honoring women for, I don't know, hundreds of years, thousands of years. And you guys do nothing but bring us mental anguish. You blow up our peace. You destroy our innate natural happiness. And so when you leave, we are relieved of you. All right, you guys, I got to get back to work. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like and subscribe. Remember, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.